good morning. It's late today. Well, I don't know about our gizmo because it says it's sunny. That's the forecast. According to Dennis, it's going to rain all day. And it's raining now. But we had the biggest, most beautiful full moon last night on my way home. That was for sure. So here's today. And it's late, so this is about how it's going to be all day, I guess. Got my Albert Einstein look going today. Sorry about that. I thought it would be okay in the mirror in the morning, but apparently it's not. Good morning. I'm Barbara. Thank you for joining me on this rainy, dreary day. On the last day of February, I am starting to have an idea. It's time to take down the Christmas decorations, in case you were wondering. Yeah. But I'm not doing it today. I'm going to do some watercolors today. I did not craft at all yesterday, but I did go to Uncle... Oh, like that's the most important thing. I went to Uncle Eli's yesterday. I did go to Uncle Eli's yesterday, and I bought 4 paints. One of them was a different brand of Payne's Gray. So this is my first Payne's Gray, and this is my second Payne's Gray. They're a little bit different. Isn't it interesting? I mean, I think every brand does all their colors their own way on some level, but so one is bluer than the other. So I have both of them in my palette. So last night I finished my palette. I filled up the rest of my colors in my palette that I bought. So I have one palette of paints that I bought individually. And then I had gotten 2 of these palettes. And then I went through all that wonderful colors that Kathy gave me. And I filled up my second palette with all the colors that I'm going to want to use on a regular basis that I didn't have in my other palette. So my normal procedure, in theory, will be to have these 2 color palettes available to me when I go to do my watercolors. And one of the things they say, oops, and I got white gouache on my fingers. Gouache is a water-based paint, but it's opaque. So you can put white gouache on top of your painting and it will show as white, but it won't be translucent. The wonderful thing about watercolors is how they're translucent. But white gouache comes in very handy if you want to make snow, if you want to put little highlights, if you want to cover something up. And so these palettes are drying. This messy palette is actually, almost all the colors are dry enough to use from there. But anyway, the theory is you only use a limited color palette in any one picture so that it has a cohesive look. So, you only use a few colors at a time. Even if you have all these beautiful colors. So I'm very excited. I'm planning on painting. These are just my painting plans. I'm planning on painting today and finishing this watercolor. And I took a couple pictures of on the farm. And I had taken a couple pictures on my walk. And who knows, I might just take a picture out my window. It is raining and our snow will be gone. It will be a muddy, wet day today in our house. Lots of dog towels will be in use. Okay, so ramble. I visited my parents yesterday and they are doing really, really well. They're very happy in their place, except that Daddy says the food's bad. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I do not think I could go from my current situation where Dennis cooks for me and he's like the most amazing cook ever to living in a place where I had to eat the food that they served me and it wasn't good. That would be a very sad thing. They do have choices, you know, on what they can eat, but apparently the food is not that good. I've been there, and I haven't been impressed by the food, but I haven't eaten there for a year, and I think the food has gone downhill. Because Daddy was not unhappy with it when they first moved in, but I think... Anyway, other than that, they're really happy, and they're, you know, when we were there, the nurse came in and took their blood pressure, and, you know, they were very happy to see her. They get lots of company because they come and get checked and, you know, tested their oxygen levels and things like that. So they're still testing them, checking them every day for things that might indicate COVID or just indicate some issue. So that's good. And I went with my niece, and it was so nice to spend some time with my niece, Janine. I hadn't seen her since a year ago Christmas. She and her boyfriend had come and were living with my brother for a couple months. But apparently I missed the boyfriend by a week. So he's back in California and looking to buy a house. And so I think Janine will be moving back to California. She said she was going to stay until she can get a vaccine. So who knows how long that will be. But anyway, it was so good to see her. She's such a lovely woman. She has she's 2 classes short of graduating. This is one of those long drawn out college careers. 2 more classes that she's taking this spring over, you know, on the internet so she can do it from State College. And she will have a dual degree in psychology and neuroscience. Pretty cool. Anyway, she's a lovely, lovely woman. My brother and his wife have done a beautiful job because my nieces are amazing women, and it was so fun to spend a little time with her. And the parents are great. And you know, we don't have a lot to talk about, though. That's the funny thing, you know. I did find out one of the lovely old ladies in their place who I liked had died since I was there last, which was a shame. Ross, she was like the welcome wagon of the place. She was just the spryest, cheeriest, most friendly little old lady you ever saw. And, but I guess she died, and it made me sad. Not that I would have seen her, but, you know. Daddy said, well, she was 97. I'm like, oh, I guess that's okay. You know, my idea of old is 103. That has thrown me off. Garland has thrown me off what's old, thinking about what's old and elderly for a decade. You know, because when my dad started having his health problems a little over a year and a half ago, you know, when he first had his, whatever that was, he did in October of 2019, I was really shocked. And when he came through that, he started to seem like an old man. And then I realized, you know, well, he is 87, 88. You know, he's not a spring chicken. But, you know, I had Garland as my, you know, metric on old people, who was at that time 101, 102, and getting around okay, although he was in the decline, you know. So you know, he was like the older generation, and my parents were even, you know, whatever. It skewed my idea of what's old. So my parents are feeling very old to me these days. And they're not that much older than me. My mom was 21 when I was born, so. I want to make sure that I'm keep eating right so that I hope I can forestall the dementia. That would be nice. That, you know, adds years to your life, to your, you know, real life. Hey, pups. I'm being depressing. Anyway, my parents are lovely and fine, and we had a very nice visit. And I'm a terrible person, but I want to tell you the best part of the visit was I picked my niece up at the farm, where my parents own the farm, and they used to live there. And my brother John and his wife live there now. And John and my dad have the same name. So my parents still get mail at the farm. And so when I picked up Janine, I picked up their mail and we delivered the mail. And we had a very nice visit and we were getting ready to go. My dad starts going through the mail. Guess what was in the mail? The tax form that my mother needs. Yay! So I do not have to get her a portal. I don't have to worry about it anymore. If I get any more responses, I can say the matter is taken care of. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, that made my day. Let me tell you. Yeah, I'm a terrible person. But oh, I was so happy that they got their form. So all is well over in tax land with the parents. So that's good. And then Janine and I went to Uncle Eli's. And Uncle Eli's was quite, in fact, a big disappointment. I mean, it did have a big array of displays of watercolors. There were like 3 or 4 different brands of watercolor. It was so picked over. It was so picked over. 2 of the colors I wanted were on their list of, if you're a starting watercolor, you know, you should start with these 6 colors. Well, 2 of the colors I was looking for were on their list, and I could only find one of them. And, you know, but everything, it was so picked over, so picked over. So I got a couple of paints. Like this is, I didn't buy this yesterday. These are the paints. You can buy these paints in Michael's, in fact. This is Winsor & Newton, which is a very nice brand. This is their student level paint, Cotman. I got a couple Cotmans because I'm not going to Michael's, even though I probably could get them here because I got this here. But I had a couple colors that I was looking for, and I found 3 colors I was looking for, and I got another Payne's Gray, as I said, because I was very curious. I got the Winsor & Newton Payne's Gray. That's what the lower one is, so it's a little more gray than the other one, just to try them out. So, and I looked at the brushes and I realized I don't need any brushes. I've done really well in terms of getting brushes. And so I have the brushes I need. I kind of looked at their pen and ink section, but it just was, you know, not inspiring. So anyway, I got a couple of paints and called it a day. I didn't go crazy. I wasn't going to go crazy anyway, and I couldn't go crazy because of how picked over they were. But it still was nice to be able to see things in person and whatever. So I got one brand. Where's my book? I don't see my book. I did do my sketchbook. Hold on. I haven't done color pages on the colors that I put in my second palette. But here are the color pages of the 4 that I bought yesterday. So I got Permanent Rose and Hooker's Green. Hooker's Green was the one color that was on their list for beginners. And that's the only one I got that was a different brand. It was a Graham, M. Graham and Company. Hooker's Green. And then I got Cerulean and then the Payne's Gray. So these are my latest colors, and I wrote these with my fountain pen instead of with so we'll see. I'm working on my fountain pen, but I'll do some more pages of my other palette in here once it dries and I can use it. And then I'll have all my colors in my palette in my little notebook here. I don't know what I'm going to do with this notebook. I mean, I just can't see myself doing anything like, this is me trying to do Isabel and the giraffe, you know. Although she does have a cute face. Anyway, you don't care about this. But I didn't get any knitting done. I did take my sweater, but I didn't knit. And when I got home, I was tired and I didn't knit. So I'm going to work a little more on my sweater. I'm on my bistro sweater, work on some more stripes, get some progress on that because I do want to finish that before it gets too warm. in the vineyard. It's a beautiful color, and I want that sweater too. So my problem is I apparently want all the sweaters. Yeah, that's something new. You've never known that about me, right? And I'm going to make crackers today. Dennis made paneer on Friday. And we had matar paneer on Friday, which is my favorite Indian dish that we found a relatively low-carb version of. Peas actually aren't super terrible if you don't have very many of them in terms of carbs. And matar is peas, so it's a tomato and yogurt based sauce with lots of yummy spices and peas, and paneer, which is a fresh Indian cheese that Dennis makes and is delicious. It reminds you a little bit of tofu in its look, hard tofu, but it's made with milk. It's real cheese. And anyway, we had that on Friday. It was delicious. And so we have paneer left, and I will be making the paneer crackers that we like today. So it's getting noisy in here between the water and the dog squeak. So I'm doing that. I'm working on getting my podcast done, and we probably are going to stop by Aura's and see her. And so that's my plan for the day. And it's a rainy day, so I don't even know if we're going to W-A-L-K. I don't know why I spell it, because Pearl can spell too. But we shall see. So that's it. That's it. But I had a wonderful visit with my parents. It was so good to see them. So good to see them. I had an uneventful trip. And I'm feeling like painting today, so we'll see what happens. I hope you are well. I hope you are well, and thank you so much for all your good wishes. I really appreciate that. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Stay safe and stay sane.